What is going on, NFL fans? Welcome back to the J All Day Show. Today I want to talk about the 2024-2025 NFL win total betting odds. We're going to go through all the over and under numbers, and I'm going to give you whether I think they're going to win over or under for each team in the NFL. Let's get into it. All right, Vegas has the Ravens winning 11.5 games. I'm going with the over for the Ravens at plus 132. I'm taking the over all day long. I think they could definitely win 12 games or 13 games again. Bringing in Derrick Henry. They drafted really well. I was very impressed by the Ravens draft this year. They added a lot of weapons. I love the Ravens to go over 11.5 wins this year, especially at plus money, dude. FanDuel at plus 132. Yeah, you better cash that in the bank right now, guys. All right, next up is the 49ers. Minus 100 for over or under 11.5 wins. I'm going to go over. I think the 49ers are still one of the most dominant teams in the NFC. That offense is really, really good. Even though we don't know what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, I think Brock Purdy and the rest of the crew, no matter which one is there and which one is not there of the wide receivers, they'll be just fine. I like the over. Then the Chiefs, over 11.5 is tough. I think drafting Xavier Worthy was a huge risk, especially when they have to move up to get him. Over 11.5 wins at minus 122. I think their division got a little bit better too. I think the Broncos and the Raiders are all going to be better this year. And I still think that team has some holes. The defense is really good, but I think the offensive line is getting a little bit suspect, and the receivers are still just okay. Travis Kelce is getting older. I would be surprised if he played over 12 or 13 games this year. I'm going to say under 11.5. I think they can win 10 or 11 games this year. I'm going with the under 11.5 wins for the Chiefs. The Cowboys, over or under 10.5. The line is set at 10.5. I'm going under 100%. That offensive line is absolute trash with Tyron Smith going to the Jets. And then in the first round of the draft, the Cowboys traded back to take Tyler Guyton from Oklahoma. I don't think he's ready to play day one. That offensive line is really going to struggle. I think this offense is going to struggle mightily to score points. They're bringing back Ezekiel Elliott. Yikes. Next up, we have the Birds at 10.5 wins. I'm going to go over for the Birds. I think they win 11 games this year. I think they barely get the over. 11 or 12 wins for the Birds this year. I like Vic Fangio coming to take over the defense. Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator there. I think they're going to be a little bit better than the run they went on towards the end of the year last year where they completely collapsed. Lions. The line is at 10.5. They just signed Jared Goff to a 4-year, $212 million extension. I like the Lions going with the over. If the Lions won 12 or 13 games, I would not be surprised at all. I'm going with the over, especially at plus money for the Lions. The Bengals, whoo, baby, minus 134 at 10.5 wins. I don't like the odds here, guys. Over 10.5 is coming in at minus 134. I think, oh man, the Bengals are still, I don't know. Joe Burrow just can't stay healthy for whatever reason. I'm going with the under. I think they can win 10 games, 9 games. I don't see them winning 11 or 12 games. And the same thing for me with Buffalo. The over 10.5 games is coming in at plus money. I think the Bills win 10 games this year. 9 or 10 games. Remember, they got off to that really slow start last year. The offensive side of the ball has been completely decimated. They have no receivers at all whatsoever. I'm going with the under there. And the Jets, over 9.5 is coming in at minus 122. So a lot of people are taking the over. I'm going to go with the over as well. I think the Jets can win 10 or 11 games this year. Now the Dolphins, over 9.5 is coming in at minus 144. I think the Dolphins are going to seriously regress. You could probably get some really good money on the under here, guys. 144 to go over 9.5. There's no way I'm taking that bet at all whatsoever. Vic Fangio, their defensive coordinator, is now in Philly. They lost a bunch of key free agents on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. Yikes. I'm going with the under 9.5 wins for the Dolphins. Now, the Green Bay Packers over 9.5 minus 134. I like those odds. They're pretty decent odds. Okay. I like the Packers. I like what Jordan Love did last year. They have a young core of players. They got some good players in the draft as well, too, to address the defensive side of the ball, the cornerback and safety positions. I'm going over. I think the Packers can win 10, 11 games this year. Easy money. Next up, we have the Houston Texans. Over 9.5 is coming in at minus 150. I think the Texans win 10, 11 games, too. I think they could even win 12 games this year. And if everything goes right, they could go 13-4, guys. I love the Texans. C.J. Stroud was so unbelievable in that first year, especially on third down. I like the Texans. The Falcons, over 9.5 at minus 148. The Falcons are a very interesting team. Now throwing Michael Penix Jr. into the mix there with Kirk Cousins. Are they 100% sold on Kirk Cousins? I don't know. It just seems like the locker room is going to be a little weird this year. They have all the talent in the world with Bijan Robinson and London. Do they win over 9.5 games? I'm going to go under slightly. I think the Falcons go 9-8. They could win 10 games this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they won 9 or 10, but there's no way I'm laying minus 148 on the over. No way. Bears. 8.5 at minus 150. Ooh, baby. Do we think the Bears can go 9-8 is a winning season now? If you win 8 games, you have a losing season with the 17-game schedule. A lot of people are really thinking the Bears, I think they won, 7 games last year? Can they get over the hump? I don't love the over at minus 150. If it was even, maybe I would take that bet. But I think they're right on the money. I think between 8 and 9 games, the Bears are going to win. But just for fun, I'm going to roll the dice on the Bears. I'm going the over 8.5 wins this year. Next up, we have the Colts. Over 8.5 at plus 112. Anthony Richardson's coming back from the injury. That should be really fun to watch to see how he progresses in year 2. At plus money, I like the Colts in the over. I think they can win 9 games. I think they're going to be an over 500 team. I like the Colts and the over. The Browns over 8.5. I'm taking the Browns over 8.5 all day. I don't see the Browns having a losing season this year. I think they can win 9, 10 games for sure. And then the Chargers over 8.5. I'm going with the under there, man. New head coach. They got rid of all the weapons for Justin Herbert. I don't love the Chargers roster this year. I think they're going to win 6 or 7 games this year. I think it's going to be tough sledding. Over 8.5 at minus 144. No way. I'm going under 8.5 wins for the Chargers this year. Jaguars set at over 8.5 at minus 115. This could go either way, but the Jaguars are another team I just don't believe in. I don't love the wide receivers there. They played Gabe Davis. All that money, man. Ugh. The corners for the Jaguars are really suspect. I don't love that there. The Rams over 8.5. I'm going the over for sure. I love Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. That offense is going to hum this year. The Buccaneers over 7.5. I think they win over 7.5. They can win 8 or 9 games this year. I think Baker Mayfield is at the best point of his career. He seems to be not forcing the ball down the field like he used to, taking what defenses give him. Mike Evans is back for another stint with the Buccaneers. Over 7.5 wins for sure. The Saints over 7.5. I'm going to surprise some people. I'm going to go with the under. I think they win 6 or 7 games. Derek Carr, I'm not a big Derek Carr fan. I like Olave, but I don't see this team with Derek Carr winning 9, 10 games. 7.5 is kind of an interesting number. Could they win 8 games? Yeah, I just don't see the Saints having a winning season. Now the Vikings over 7.5. That's really a fun bet, right? So if you go over 7.5, you get plus money. I'm going to surprise some people here. I'm going to go with the over. I think they can win 8 or 9 games this year with J.J. McCarthy. Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson are going to get him up to speed really fast. The Seahawks over 7.5. Man, I'm not the biggest Geno Smith fan. I'm going to go with the under. I think they win 7 games this year. I don't know if they can win 8. I'm not a big Seahawks guy. Steelers over 7.5. I'm going with the over for sure, and the odds would suggest that -184. I think this will bump up to the other sports book has 8.5 wins at -120. So whatever one it is, I'm going to go with the over 7.5. I'm going to go over 8.5 too. I'm going to go over for both of those. So you take the better odds, over 8.5 at -120. I like that bet there. Then the Raiders, over 6.5. I'm taking the over all day long on that. I think they win 7-8 games this year. I think Aiden O'Connell takes a step forward. A lot of people are dogging him, but he's got Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers they drafted. I'm going over for sure. Titans, 6.5. Oh, man, I'm going to go the over, but barely. I think they're going to win 7 games this year. Barely. Will Levis is a serviceable quarterback. I just don't like the weapons there at all whatsoever. I think they're going to struggle to protect him a little bit, even though they addressed the offensive line in the draft. Giants, over or under 6.5. I'm going to go over. I think they win 7 games this year. Daniel Jones, Malik Neighbors, I think they're okay this year. And the Cardinals, I think they're going to be okay too. Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, I'm going over 6.5. I'm going to go 7, 8, maybe even 9 wins for the Cardinals if everything falls right. Now, Jaden Daniels and the Commanders, do they win over 6.5 games? Ooh, I'm going to go under. I think there's too many moving parts there. Jaden Daniels, they have a good wide receiver core there, but that D line is suspect. I think teams are going to run the ball down the Commanders' throat. Broncos, over 5.5 wins. I'm taking the over on that all day long. Bo Nix is a very serviceable quarterback. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot, and they're going to do just enough to squeak out some wins. Patriots, over 5.5. I'm going to go with the over 2. I think they win 6 or 7 games this year. Panthers, I'm going the under. I still think that roster, even though they added Xavier Legette and some other weapons, some more running backs to that Panthers organization, I think they win 5 games this year. I think they go 5-12. All right, that wraps it up, guys. Let me know in the comments below. Do you like my picks for my over-unders? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace.